Hey YouTube, this is the Simple Human, and today I'm going to show you guys how to Mod Podge a puzzle. My girlfriend and I recently put together this Thomas Kincaid Bambi Disney puzzle, and it's really cool. We're big Bambi and Thumper, that's our thing. So I'm going to Mod Podge this puzzle that we put together, and I'm going to frame it and hang it in our bedroom. But, obviously first I've got to Mod Podge it so that it stays together and it'll be a lot easier to frame. So the way that I do it is I use aluminum foil, wax paper, and then a gloss Mod Podge. So I bought a big can of it off Amazon. It was real cheap. I've done it to a couple puzzles that we've done together. Picked up the wax paper, aluminum foil, and the paintbrush all at the dollar store. So this isn't a really expensive project. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with it once you've got it all glued together and sealed, I guess, since it's a Mod Podge sealer. But I'm just going to show you guys how to do the sealing of the puzzle today. So, first things first, what I do is I make sure that there's nothing on the puzzle. Just wanted to show you guys all the ingredients first, all in one pane. And then, now I'm not positive whether or not you need both the wax paper and the aluminum foil, but better safe than sorry. I don't want to ruin this table, so I go ahead and use both. So, first thing you want to do is get a big piece of aluminum foil, size, the length, or the width, length, whatever you want to call it, of the puzzle. Now, because my puzzle's a little bit taller, I had to use two pieces, just to overlap and make sure I get the whole thing. So, what you want to do is take the puzzle and the aluminum foil and very, very carefully flip the edge of the puzzle over the edge of the aluminum foil. You don't want it to come apart. It's not fun to put the same puzzle together over and over and over again, or at least in my opinion. But once you get those edges done, it's pretty easy to just slide the puzzle over the rest of the foil. So you want to make sure you have a nice overlap of the foil so that you don't get any through the cracks and onto your table. Then, after you've got the puzzle on top of the foil, you're going to want to take your wax paper and do the same thing. after you've got your pieces of wax paper, you obviously want to slide it under the puzzle. Now again, you want to make sure you have a nice little overlap, just like you do with the tin foil. That way you don't get anything in between. Now, if you knew you were going to do this from the beginning, you could save a lot of time and effort and headache by simply doing the puzzle on top of your safety mat of tin foil and or wax paper. Now, again, I'm not entirely certain if it is necessary to have both. However, I like the fact that the wax paper is easy to peel the puzzle off, and I like the security that the tin foil offers. But to me, it's better safe than sorry, not to ruin the table. But again, you can experiment and find out for yourself. Again, you can experiment and find out for yourself. So, once you've got your safety mat, you're going to take your Mod Podge. Make sure to shake it up real good. And I like to leave enough room to make the pieces of the aluminum foil and the wax paper big enough so that I can keep the bottle of Mod Podge on the little safety mat while I do this part. So after you do that, you're simply going to take your brush and make sure you get a nice big gob of Mod Podge on there and just start brushing it all over the puzzle. So after you've got a nice coat over the puzzle, what I like to do is go around all the edges and make sure that I got all the edges real nice. Now the only problem with doing it this way is that it's going to be a little bit glued to the paper whenever it's dried, but it's nothing, a nice little trimming and some very careful procedure of removing it from, and it's really not that careful. This is one of the benefits of the wax paper, which is why I continue to use both, is that it peels off real nice and easy from the corners whenever it's done drying. Alright, so after you've done that part with the corners, just to get a nice all the way around seal, Now as you're doing this, regardless of what color you get, you're gonna notice it looks like you've just rubbed some Elmer's glue across it. And everyone knows how that dries, and you don't worry about it. It's just the way that it looks when you first put it on there. This glossy one I've used a couple times, and it seals well, and then it looks nice and clean whenever it's done. After I've brushed the entire thing, made sure to use generous amounts and get in the cracks of each piece and go around the corner, just so that when you look at it, it doesn't look like a bunch of random brush strokes. I like to take a little bit of extra and rub all in the same directions all the way down the puzzle on the front. Now on the back it doesn't really matter as much. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Get a nice generous amount. And since this is a wide puzzle, I'm going to do horizontal strokes. Now all that extra work at the end to do the horizontal stripes, that's just, not everyone has to do that. That's not a you must do this thing. To me, that helps kind of keep the texture uniform throughout the puzzle. Since I'm doing it on the front side, that's why I did it. However, after it dries and I flip it over and do the back, it's fair game, do whatever you want. Whatever. Just when you do the front, make sure to get in between the cracks. Make sure to get the edges real nice. And I like to do the thing with the texture. So you can just be super generous with the Mod Podge whenever you do it. I wouldn't dump the whole bottle on the puzzle, but you definitely want to have plenty. That way the puzzle seals very nicely. And again, the blotchy color and the kind of hazy look to it will fade away since it's the gloss one. And it's kind of like the self-settling clear coat that you get in spray cans. It looks real hazy, but after a couple hours it looks nice and clear without any kind of sanding or any buffing, whatever. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to do the back side. Alright guys, so once you remove the paper from the puzzle, or the puzzle from the paper, however you want to say it, the puzzle should hold itself together. And you simply just flip it over and then paint some Mod Podge on the back. And that's it. Since this is the back, I don't care about making the texture right all the way around. You don't necessarily even have to do the back, but I always do the back just to make sure it's nice and sealed on both sides. Be a nice solid piece whenever it's done drying. And when it's done drying, all I got to do is come through and trim up the edges with an X-Acto knife, or really any kind of knife. Just be careful not to mess up the front, and get the paper off, and then it's ready for a frame. Alright, so after you've got your puzzle nice and dry, you need to take it off the paper again. Now you've got the front and the back. For the most part, should just come right off. Only the edges are glued down. Alright, so after you've separated the puzzle from the paper, sorry about all that noise, you're still going to have a little bit around the edges probably if you just, I use a lot of glue, so I usually have a little bit left over. Then this part, I think the best way to do it is to sit down right in front of the puzzle, take a little hobby knife, and just very carefully trim the edge of the puzzle where all the glue is. You don't have to get it perfect. Since this is the edge, you can use it kind of as a guide to help you get the glue off. Alright guys, once you have the edges nice and trimmed up, you can go around and, you know, make any little detailed trims you want to do. I'm not personally too worried about the edges being perfectly smooth or anything, since again this is going in a frame. And however, what occasionally happens when you use too much glue is you get the paper kind of gets stuck to the edge of the puzzle. But you can just take your fingernail, and I recently trimmed mine, so this might not work for me very well. I might have to sit here for a while. But you can just go along the edges where there's still paper stuck to your puzzle, and you can scrape it off with your nail. You don't have to push too hard. This is a kind of a farther top layer, so it's not going to mess up the puzzle where you did the glue the first time. It doesn't always happen, but every once in a while it does. Another thing you can do to help you get this paper off is take a paper towel, get it just a little bit wet, and you can rub where the paper is very lightly. And since this is sealed, it's not going to ruin the puzzle or anything. And you can rub. If there's a lot of paper in the one spot, then you can rub the wet paper towel over it. And it'll make it even easier to get off with your fingernail. Once you've done all the trimming and all the cleaning, you're done. Your puzzle's all one solid piece. It's more like a picture. You can put it in a frame and hang it up, or if you were planning on doing something else with it, now would be the time to do it, because you're all done sealing it with Mod Podge. So, I hope this helps you guys if you're having trouble with this or you're looking for ideas of how to do this. And please stay tuned for more how-to videos. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos. All the support helps. Thanks again for watching, and look forward to some more videos.